And welcome in the Believe in Ole Miss podcast, a part of the Logan Media Network. I'm excited today to have Denson Hollis, the Senior Associate AD for Development. He is a Chief Executive Officer that oversees annual giving at the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. Kind enough to give us a few moments today. And Denson, taking a look at this Ole Miss Athletics program, it's a great time to be an Ole Miss Rebel.
Yeah, it really is. I kind of have a unique experience with that, being from Clarksdale and being an Ole Miss fan my whole life. I've kind of seen the two forms of Ole Miss athletics. Uh, right now is as good as it's ever been to be an Ole Miss Athletics fan. The best coaches we've ever had, best rosters we've ever had. A lot of our sports are doing really well, but it's really great as an Ole Miss fan personally and as an employee of the foundation to see Ole Miss Athletics at the big boy table competing with the biggest brands in the country.
I had a chance to visit with a longtime Ole Miss basketball fan recently at a women's game earlier this year, and we pretty much share the sentiment that our lifetime, we're kind of the same age, have not seen a cohesive unit like Chancellor Boyce, athletic director Keith Carter, Walker Jones now with the Grove Collective, and of course you with the Ole Miss Athletic Foundation. It feels like you guys have a really good working relationship, kind of working in concert in this ever-changing world of athletics. How is it working with all of those different components of athletics, and how do you guys work so smoothly together?
Yeah, I think it starts with at the top with the chancellor. I mean, Chancellor Boyce is an unbelievable advocate for Ole Miss athletics. He supports Keith and lets Keith, execute his mission. Keith being an Ole Miss person, me being an Ole Miss person, Walker being an Ole Miss person. I think sometimes people could look at that as potentially as a negative thing, but for us, it's been an unbelievable positive. I think all of us together have a good pulse on what Ole Miss athletics and Ole Miss as a university need, and we use that knowledge to make it as best as we can. Um, None of us are in these jobs to get to other jobs. These are the jobs that we want. I mean, I can tell you right now, at 44 years old, when I was in college at Ole Miss, the job that I have right now was the job that I ultimately dreamed for. I wanted to be the head of the Athletics Foundation. So I don't take that for granted ever. And because it's the biggest passion in my life, that fuels me in my position. But I know Keith Walker and the Chancellor feel the same way. They're Ole Miss people that want to make Ole Miss be the best that it can be. And right now, everything is going really well here, and this university is really running full steam.
The dollar amount that we've heard that the Southeastern Conference in regards to revenue sharing is in excess of $20 million. I know you guys are very well aware of that. Here recently, you put out a plan for the Founder Suites, and I'd love for you to get an opportunity to talk about the Founder Suites. It's a great opportunity for revenue sharing, but there are a lot of questions that people might have. I know 2027 is the magic number as
Mhm.
regard to the year to when it would open. Anything you can add to the Founders Suite, and kind of what are you anticipating at this point?
Sure. Well, you talked about revenue sharing. In this world, we have to find as many ways as possible to create new revenue. Um, and the Founder Suites is a big part of that. The biggest need that we have in our football stadium is more suites. We have a wait list right now of over 100 accounts that want suites. Um, we looked at expanding or taking down the west side of the stadium years ago, and the whole world changed after that. Not just with NIL, but construction costs. So we had to kind of put that on the shelf. But the founder suites is something that's really become popular in the country. A lot of schools are doing this, and the concept is, these are your premier suites, your biggest and your best, the most amenities possible, kind of your standalone, as good as it gets. Um, when we put the West Side expansion on the shelf, we kind of downsized what we were thinking to see how we could add some more suites, and this concept was presented to us by other schools and something that we decided to go forward. But the interest is there. We did a lot of kind of soft conversations with donors before we even went public with it, but it's something that will allow new people to get new suites and potentially people that have suites to move into the new suites, which would open up some more suite availability. Our fan base loves premium. We're sold out of every premium seat in every venue that we have. So it falls in line with the Ole Miss fan base and what they enjoy. And I think it's going to be really popular, and we're really excited to share more information about that in the future.
Do you know right now, Denson, how many number of suites that you're kind of looking at, or you just kind of feeling your way through that?
The founder suites?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 10.
Okay.
So, just in the basic concept, it'll be an envelope that goes around the current West Side structure, and the 10 suites will be on top of that. We did a lot of sightline research at other schools. Uh, I saw some stuff on the internet about the sightline may be too high. It's still going to be lower than a lot of our SEC peers with where their suites are. You've been to Tiger Stadium, you've been to the Swamp. Their suites are really, really high up. We believe these will be even lower than some of those. So, it's going to be great for us, and we're excited to share more information.
So the existing press box aesthetically will stay where it is.
That's
Uh,
right.
you'll be adding the premium seating on top of that, correct?
That's right. So where there's some deferred maintenance in the current west structure, like elevators, for example. So this would replace all the elevators on the west side, which would be something we were going to have to do in the future anyway. But without getting into too much specifics, we would go from
Right.
3 elevators to 5. And a couple of those elevators would service just the founder suite level or have the ability to go up there. But it's a good way for us to add to the stadium, but also fix some stuff that needs to be fixed as well.
Do you feel so? You feel pretty comfortable that these 10 suites should be allocated and sold out by 2027?
Yeah, I mean, we do. We feel like we have the donor base and the interest to fund these. It is an expensive price point, but we feel confident with who we have and who we've talked to that we'll be able to execute all 10. Yes.
Not getting too much into the semantics of the release that was sent out to a lot of your donors. But will this be a price point that will continue each year, or is this kind of an upfront cost? Where
It's
do
an
you
upfront cost. Yeah, and there is an annual cost that goes along with it, but the upfront cost is what we'll use to fund the construction.
I had a couple of conversations, and they were positive conversations with some fans, understanding that ticketing and that sort of thing are going to go up. I know those conversations are in place when you talk about the 20+ million dollar revenue share and that sort of thing. What are some other areas that you guys have kind of looked at as a group to kind of generate, for the lack of a better word, money to continue to move forward in the world of athletics?
Yeah, we really looked at everything. Like you said, parking, the Grove, founder suites, concerts. It's a big area of emphasis for us. Uh, that's a hard area to get into. There's a lot of interest in people wanting to come here and perform, but when it gets down to the specifics, it's harder to lock down than people think. It's a pretty challenging thing, but we are working on that. Um, Another example is adding 100 new floor seats this year to the pavilion and creating the new premium opportunity there, the Legends Lounge. That generates about $500,000 in new revenue. And then, of course, we're looking at things that we can make our budget leaner too. I mean, it's not just adding revenue; it's making sure that we're spending the money that we have efficiently to make sure we can absorb this. Um, but we're always looking for new revenue opportunities. Anything that we can do to generate new revenue, we'll think about it, and we have meetings weekly about this very thing.
There was one particular group on campus. I say a group of it was started years ago as the Vault Society, and I continue to see people being added to the Vault Society. How is the continued growth of that, and where do you foresee the Vault Society going over the coming years?
Oh, the Vault Society is the key to everything we do. I mean, it funds our student support, our operational support, our capital project support. Um, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff because I don't want it to sound like it's me, it's our team and the people that they're doing. But when I moved to athletics in 2020, the Vault Society had about 400 members, and today we're about 820. So we've doubled. Um, I I may have a small part in that, but I think it all starts with Keith. I mean, Keith is the driver of the engine, and without these great coaches and these great rosters, it it wouldn't be the case. I mean, we're being successful because we're capitalizing on the success of our programs. Um, I think our relationship with the Grove Collective and how we work together to make sure that we're fulfilling the coaches' needs and their roster retention and getting new athletes is big. And like you said, the original question with me, Walker, and Keith, and the Chancellor, and Matt McLaughlin, and everybody else on these teams working together, we know that the iron is hot right now. We're all working together to strike it. So the Vault Society will always be the number one issue for raising additional money. There's the annual fund side that the donations go with the tickets. That's the biggest part of our operation, and then the major gift side is the Vault Society and raising money for these areas of support, capital projects, operational support, and student athlete support.
We've talked a lot about the Vault Society and a lot of these premium options. There are a lot of ways for every walk of Ole Miss fan has an opportunity to give. I know there's some different avenues to give. What are some pretty much kind of a wide spectrum of giving that you offer at the Ole Miss Athletic Foundation?
Yeah, I mean, all of our sports have restricted account giving. An example would be like the culture team for men's basketball. People give gifts to that to support the basketball program in ways that fall outside of their budget. All of our sports have that. That's just one example. Another example would be pledge per win or pledge per home run in baseball and softball, where a donor can give $10 per win. And then at the end of the week, we tally up the wins and then say you win 5 games that week. 5 times 10 is a $50 donation that hits their credit card. But we think a lot about every fan, whether it's parking, whether it's tickets. We know that, this is um, this is something that they do for their enjoyment. So we don't want to price out fans. We think about that a lot, something that's very important to us. So that's why when we make these decisions, there's a level for every type of fan.
Uh, you talk about striking while the iron is hot. I mean, just the four main sports with Coach Joe with women's basketball, Lane Kiffin with football, Chris Beard with men's basketball, and Mike Bianco with baseball. I don't know, and you and I are kind of the same age, that there's been a collection of those four coaches, since we've all been following Ole Miss athletics. So I would think that would be a huge component to be able to continue to grow in regards to fundraising.
I mean, 100%. That's where it all starts. I mean, like I said, the chancellor, Keith, hiring these coaches, and then more importantly, retaining them. Um, I completely agree. This is the best collection of head coaches we've ever had. I mean, you didn't even mention men's golf, #1 in the country, women's golf, a couple years ago, national championship. Track has multiple national championships a year. Softball just opened their brand new stadium 2 days ago, and they're off to a great start. Baseball won the national championship in 2022. Now, I have three girls, 12, 10, and 6, and my oldest is my diehard fan. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, you're growing up in a different world than I did. I remember when I almost went to the Gator Bowl in the 90s thinking, I cannot believe that we're in the Gator Bowl. Like, this is unbelievable. And that game didn't go well for us. And then this year we go back to the Gator Bowl, and we're glad to be there, but a little bit disappointed not being in the playoff, and just thinking how far we've come. And, she's seen multiple national championships and all these big bowl games. Yes, it's for me personally, because I am a Ole Miss fan, as big of one as I think you can find. It can always be better, but right now it's pretty dang good. Hopefully, we can keep going and accomplish even better things.
And one final question for you. You LSU 2 years ago, Georgia last year in football. Men's basketball have had some big wins. We talk about the 22 national championship in baseball. Do you allow yourself to kind of sit back and just take a deep breath and just really appreciate what Ole Miss Athletics has done, or do you kind of stay in that mode of a assistant AD for development? Do you allow yourself to be a fan every now and then?
Oh yeah, I mean, I am a fan. I don't ever hide it. I mean, to me, it's what drives me. It's You don't ever get to really take a breath in college athletics, especially right now, because it changes every day, and we're all playing games that the rules are unclear and the landscape is unclear. But no, my fandom and my passion for this place is 24/7. I mean, I don't I miss my job when I'm not at my job. I don't feel like I've ever worked a day because I love it so much. So that's just me personally, and I'm not saying everybody's like that, but um, no, I mean, you can see behind me, I've got the goalposts up on my dresser. I look at it all the time. Those are the things that really resonate, because to be in this position and to be a small part of making that happen, to me, is the ultimate reward. I mean, being in our games and being around our coaches and experiencing the wins and even the losses, because you always want to get better and do better. And I think we keep saying it, but I think there's even better things to come for us.
Denson Hollis joining us here, the assistant AD, associate AD for development, and the CEO of the Ole Miss Athletic Foundation. Denson, thanks very much for joining us.
I appreciate it, Brad. Thanks for all you do for us. Have a good weekend.